God, you call me by my name. The love you give me, I just can't deny. Yeah, no longer blinded, I can see.
Hello my friend, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, please do not make it your last by clicking that subscribe button. I always say we have a great time on this channel. Today is yet another Christian Girl Chat episode, and that means grab something to drink. Today I've got Fuko. It is maheo. What's maheo in English? I have no idea, Sha. I've got Fuko buttermilk. I really love this. So grab yourself something to drink and let's get to it. I've got a question for you, friend. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was just thinking about how when red flags and green flags are being spoken about, it's always about the men. It's always about the guys. But are you sure you're not the red flag? My friend, are you sure you aren't the red flag? Most times we focus on trying to identify red flags in others, but we don't actually pay enough attention to see whether or not we are the red flags. Whilst it is important to identify red flags in others, if you don't do self-introspection, my friend, you walk around carrying a huge truckload of bitterness, thinking that all men did you dirty, when probably you contributed largely to that. You contributed to how they treated you. Yes, of course, there are crazy men out there, and trust me, I've seen a few, but not all men are crazy. Now listen, if all the men that you come across are crazy, that means that is a red flag that you have. It's either that's the type of men your behavior, the way that you carry yourself, your attitude and so forth attract. And you need to ask yourself, what is it about me that attracts this same kind of man all the time? Because it's not a coincidence that the same type of man is attracted to you. There has to be something about you that draws these type of men towards you. Then on the flip side, it could really be that these are the types of men that you are attracted to. And you really need to ask yourself, why am I drawn to this same type of persona? Why am I drawn to the same type of man? Why am I not attracted to people who are better? Whilst I believe in getting into a relationship for the sake of marriage, putting that aside, I do believe that you should see a progression in the quality of men that you date over time. By that I mean, if you're seeing that the type of men that you dated when you started dating and the type of men that you're dating now, they've got a lot of similar qualities, Sha. Or maybe it's getting worse, then there's something wrong with you. There's a problem there. When you're so stuck falling for the same type of man, it means that even when a godly man is presented before you, you won't be able to recognize value in him because you don't know how to identify value. You see, when you're so used to a certain pattern, when you're not used to seeing better, when you don't appreciate what better looks like, you won't be able to perceive it when it's right in front of you. Now, on the major flip side, where it's not even them who've got the problem, it could really be you who has the problem, my friend. Have you ever thought of that? Sometimes, we always think that we are the victims. It's not every time that you're the victim. There's certain things that I've seen in myself where I had to just stop and say, but honestly, it's not even this person, it's me. I am the drama. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I the drama? You really need to ask yourself, Cha. You really need to ask yourself that, Cha. Think back into your past relationships and see what arguments you used to have. See what each man used to always complain about. And if you identify any similarities, take note of these and ask yourself, why? Why is there this type of trend? Why am I seeing this every time? How did I contribute to this? Was I the problem?
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Maybe I am.
You see, my friend, you could really be the walking red flag and not even be aware of it. Stop playing victim, pause for a bit, and try to take stock of your life and see where and how you contributed. Because you really, really might be the problem here. You see, as women, we hardly actually take note of this because we're always thinking about red flags and green flags in the men. Granted, this is because the emphasis really has been on the men when it comes to red flags and green flags. But this doesn't negate the fact that if you don't take stock of what red flags you have, this negatively impacts the quality of relationships you have and ultimately your life. Because let's be real, if you have poor relationships, the quality of your life also suffers as a result of it. And friend, this isn't just about romantic relationships. This applies to all sorts of relationships. If your relationships in general, your friendships, your family, your relationship with your family and people around you is bad, is poor, it also affects the quality of life that you have. We will have another chat later on where we do a deep dive into the red flags that we can look out for in ourselves. But for now, my friend, I just want you to just breathe and see if you've got any red flags that you can identify in yourself before we have that chat. Because when you come into this chat that we're going to have with these in mind, it will help you and I better. It will help us have a much more fruitful conversation. For instance, in our previous chat, we've talked about how that man that you could be hating for dumping you really could have dodged a bullet after noticing your bad spending habits. And that's a red flag, because a man wants to have someone who he knows that when he gives you money, or when you've got money, when you're handling your finances as a family, he can trust you to make wise decisions even without him coercing you into doing so. He can trust that he doesn't have to be worried. He can trust your ability to deal wisely with finances to the extent that he's not working somewhere busy being worried about what new big thing you have purchased that is going to negatively affect your family's finances. And as a result, you find that most men really don't want to give their wives money, right? And of course, yes, there are men who really just mess around with good women, who ill-treat good women. I'm not talking about that right now, right? Yes, there are men who really just ill-treat their wives and all that. But sometimes it's the women who really cause this. They prove continuously that they can't handle money to the extent that the husband does not trust them with money. And sometimes, right, we really do put ourselves in certain situations where we give men the opportunity to treat us badly. Believe it or not, the red flags that you have, or your lack of certain crucial green flags, largely contributes to how a man treats you. A man can decide upon meeting you for the first time, literally, whether or not he should put you in the bracket of women he should treat with honor or women he can have a good time with. And that largely depends on how you carry yourself, how you value yourself. The way that you value yourself is exuded in the manner in which you carry yourself. Have you noticed this? That's how many of our friends actually find themselves in situationships. The way that they carry themselves results in the men that they meet labeling them as good times. And because of that, they get into these relationships thinking that this is a relationship that's going somewhere, when in actual fact it's going nowhere. It's just a situation. My friend, you deserve much better. And for you to get better, there are certain red flags that you need to deal with. And for you to deal with them, identify them. You see, men have this inherent ability to name things. It all started with Adam Shah. He named them dog, elephant, raccoon, rat, and all that. And when he got to Eve, he said woman. And if you pay attention, this is the only time that we hear of Adam giving an explanation as to why he chose that name. I'm going to read quickly from Genesis chapter 2 verse 20 to 23. So Adam gave names to all cattle, to the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper comparable to him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. Now verse 23 is key. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. So like I said, when Adam recognized Eve, when Adam saw Eve, right, he named her woman. And this is the only time that he gave an explanation. This whole time he was just saying cattle, frog, fish, and so forth. But this time he said woman, for she was taken out of man. He gave an explanation. My friend, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you speak, the way that you dress, all contributes to the reasons he's going to be giving when he explains to people why he sees you as a good time and not a long time. When a man looks at you, he names you. He already places you in a certain category. And when a man looks at you, he names you and places you in a certain category. And sometimes there's some women who they are ill-treated or mistreated in a relationship, and then they actually end up getting married to the guy, and they're like, people were warning me about this guy, but look, this is the man that I'm married to, what. Unfortunately for them, right, when a man places you in a certain category, when a man labels you, that label does not come off you, even if he marries you. You will find that there's certain women who, they might be married to the guy, he might be giving them money and so forth, but he ill-treats her. He doesn't value her. He treats her like trash. Most of women like that, it started from the dating phase. It started from the red flags that it started from the dating phase. It started from how they were labeled by that man in the beginning. If he labels you as something of value, he will treat you with value. If he labels you as something of value, he will treat you as such. Unfortunately, my friend, you can actually find yourself getting married to the wrong guy, right? And you actually be celebrating, thinking that it's an achievement, that, you know what, that guy, you scooped that guy that everyone else wanted, that everyone wanted, and you're like, I showed my friends, I proved them that, oh, you guys thought there was a bad guy, but look, I'm now married to him, I'm now Mrs. Him. Yes, you may be Mrs. Him, but if that man named you the wrong thing in the beginning, that will continuously affect you. Because if he named you trash, he will continuously treat you like trash. Being Mrs. Him will not change anything. There are many women right now who are suffering in marriages simply because they're married to men who named them the wrong thing from the beginning. The value that a man places on you is largely determined by what he named you. Take note. Proverbs 18 verse 22. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Take note. It says he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Not he who finds a good time. It's a wife who is found. You become a wife in order to be found. So if you want to know a few qualities of a wife, please go and watch the previous chats that we did. We were outlining some of the qualities of the Proverbs 31 woman, who was a phenomenal woman and a great example of a wife. Now, if you want us to do a deep dive into how to become a wife in order to be found, please do comment down below and I'll be glad to have that chat with you. Now, I said all this to say, may you be a wife in order to be found, and may you be the good thing that causes someone's son to obtain favor from the Lord.